They say progress comes at a price, but some prices are paid in blood, carved in stone, and echoed through generations of the damned. October 5th, a quiet suburban city nestled in the heart of Ontario, was celebrating. Mayor Andi Morrison stood proudly before the gleaming new power plant, his chest swelling with civic pride. Something else emerged from the shadows of that steel and concrete monument. The ribbon stretched taut between his fingers, cameras flashing like lightning in the crisp autumn air. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Morrison's voice boomed across the crowd. Today we power our future. But as the ribbon fell, words that seemed to crawl under his skin like insects, foreign syllables that tasted of copper and ash on his tongue. The mayor's smile froze. His eyes widened in terror. There, rising from the very heart of the power plant like smoke from a funeral pyre, was the figure of an old man. And slowly, piece by terrible piece, the truth emerged like a corpse rising from a shallow grave. For generations, it had been their home, their hunting ground, their burial place. But in 1887, government officials arrived with papers and soldiers. The tribe was given 24 hours to leave their ancestral home. The voices multiplied, became a chorus of the damned. Men, women, children, all crying out in anguish from beyond the grave. Men protecting their families, women shielding their children, elders trying to save their sacred artifacts, making each step agony. His arms hardened into stone monuments to his own greed. His reflection showed not a man, but a grotesque statue in the making. The ghost's mouth moved, and Morrison heard the words as clearly as if they were spoken into his ear. Knowing changes nothing. The earth remembers all deads. The voices grew louder, more insistent, as if the entire Lakatu tribe was singing him toward his fate. The official report listed it as a medical emergency. Sudden cardiac arrest. The statue was quietly removed and placed in storage, too strange and disturbing for public display. His eyes, the last part of him to remain human, looked out in terror as his body became a perfect statue, a monument to the price of forgetting the sins of the past. He spoke the words that would doom many who desecrated this land. Makok TTA, SKIY. Until this earth remembers, your bones will join ours in eternal watch. For Mayor Morrison's body may have turned to granite, but his soul remains trapped within, conscious and aware, listening to the eternal whispers of the Lakatu dead. People walking past the power plant swear they can hear voices carried on the air. 47 spirits singing their ancient songs and one tortured soul begging for forgiveness that will never come. They whispered about his increasingly erratic behavior, how he would stop mid-sentence to listen to voices only he could hear. The massacre lasted 3 days. 47 souls, including Chief Macoon's, the old man whose spirit now haunted Morrison's every waking moment. His body had become a prison of stone, each movement sending hairline cracks through his calcified flesh. He knew his time was running out. In desperation, he returned to the power plant, hoping to find some way to appease the spirits he had wronged. His skin crackled with electric blue veins. His eyes blazed with the fury of 1,000 lightning strikes. "I'm sorry," he whispered to the night air. I didn't know. I didn't know what we had done." The ghostly figure's mouth opened in a soundless scream that somehow echoed in Morrison's very soul. The crowd saw nothing. They continued their celebration, oblivious to the specter that pointed one charred finger directly at the mayor's heart. And in that moment, as their eyes met across the void between the living and the dead, Mayor Morrison felt something ancient and terrible take root in his bones. That night, sleep brought no peace. Morrison tossed and turned as whispers in a language he'd never heard drifted through his bedroom walls. "Cakeway, what have you done? ... He raised his hands to wipe the fog away. ... And screamed. His fingers had turned gray as granite, the skin hard and cold as tombstone marble. He pressed his palms against his chest, feeling his heart beat slow, feeling the warmth drain from his body like water through stone. 3 days later, Morrison stood before his bathroom mirror, steam rising from his morning shower. Panic drove him to action. He called historians, archaeologists, anyone who might have answers. The land beneath the power plant had once been sacred ground of the Lakatu tribe. Those who resisted were cut down where they stood. As Chief Macoons lay dying, his blood seeping into the earth that had nurtured his people for centuries, week by week, the curse consumed Morrison. His legs became pillars of granite. His staff noticed the changes, how he moved like a man walking through quicksand, how his skin had taken on the pallor of winter moonlight. By the 4th week, Mayor Morrison could barely walk. He stood before the monument to progress. He had so proudly unveiled, his stone fingers tracing the cold metal. Chief McCoons appeared one final time, his electric blue form more solid than ever before. The transformation completed itself in moments. Morrison's grin died in his throat as his vocal cords turned to granite. They found Mayor Morrison the next morning, a perfect stone replica standing in the shadow of the power plant. But late at night, maintenance workers at the storage facility report hearing something impossible. The sound of weeping coming from inside the stone. And sometimes when the wind is just right, and the moon hangs low over BuckleSun, the earth remembers everything. And some debts can only be paid in stone.